This tutorial we're going to cover creating a purchase order from a door and hardware schedule. So this will come into the door schedule. We have one opened up here. Now this will be after you've already added all the doors and frames that you need to the project and entered all the hardware. So you want to make sure this is all complete. Another thing you might want to do is come under this update products, discounts and markups, and just verify that there aren't any part numbers that need to be updated for whatever reason. But you can check that real quick. Just click on this first radio button, door schedule, and it'll look and see if there's any doors that need to be updated, and it says 0. Then check the frames, it still says 0, and then check hardware, and it still says 0. So if there were any, they would show up here in this grid. So you would want to get those updated before you proceed, because if they're not updated, then they won't be sent to a purchase order if you need them, or anything else. Okay, so then we'll come under the ordering tab, and this area right here is where you're going to send the products to a purchase order. And here you have the grid, the doors, the frames, and the hardware. So right now it has each line item by tag number. So every tag number has a line item. They'll tell you the green column is the quantity that are needed, how many are in stock, how many are on order for stock, and how many are on a purchase order for this job in particular. And this one is how many have been received at this point. Now, it's usually best, we have an option up here to group all part numbers. Now you can do this if you want to just order everything, send everything into a purchase order. You have an option up here to select all items. I can select that. Now what will happen if I do, it's going to tell me I need to select a vendor first. That means you can only order one vendor at a time. These are all the vendors that are used on this door and hardware schedule. So let's go ahead and we'll select Currys. Now if I wanted, I could select all items for Currys. And you can see it went through and checked only items for Currys. So there's quite a few line items, but it did not check anything on phase 2. That's because we have phase 1 selected. At this time you can only do one phase at a time. We will look into this at a later date and time to see if we can get this to work otherwise, but for now you can only create a purchase order by phase. Another option you have is you can order for stock. If I leave this unchecked, any of these products that are sent to a purchase order will be sent for this particular job name, whatever the job name is. If I check this box, they'll be ordered and specified for stock. So it'll actually show up in this column right here, or that column will increase if it's any different. Let's see. Now you have another option to order insufficient quantities only. Now when everything is by single line item, it's hard to tell, like this 2870, because there's two different lines here. It says there's a quantity of stock, but that's total. That doesn't include each one of these line items. So if you were to add up all these line items for their 2070s, then you can compare it to how many are in stock. So to help you out, we've got this group all part numbers. If you were to select this radio button now, it's going to tell you that you must select group all part numbers first. So let's go ahead and select that. We'll show you what happens. And what it's going to do is combine all the like part numbers on one line and also combine the tag numbers. So if you see now, we've got on this first line item, there's a quantity of 2, tag 7 and 7A, and that's at 2870 left-hand wood door. So now we have everything combined on one item that's as with tag numbers combined. This also gives you the less number of line items the system will have to go through to add to a PO. So it's usually best to go ahead and group them. Unless you want specific tag numbers, then you'll uncheck this, and then you'll have to manually go down and select which tag numbers that you want to send to a purchase order. But typically this is, I would see that as the way it would be working out for you. Now that we have them all grouped, now we can specify, well, how many do we actually need? And what if I check this box, what it's going to do is look at the quantity, then it'll look at the number in stock, the number on order for stock, and the number for this job. If there's an insufficient quantity available, what it's going to do is it's going to highlight in yellow the quantity. So let's go ahead and check that box. And another thing is too, when you're using this feature at this time, it will not include tag numbers. We've had an issue with that, so at maybe a later date we might get that to work otherwise. But for now, if you do have to have the tag numbers when this purchase order is created, then you'll have to go in and manually add the tag numbers on the PO once it's created. So we're going to go ahead and say OK to this. And if we scroll down, you can see it only checked the items that had an insufficient quantity available. Here we have a door. There's 2 on order, but there's nothing in stock, nothing on order for stock, and nothing on order, on a purchase order for this job. So it highlighted that column, that quantity, and it also checked the box. You see we have another item here. Now if we scroll down a little bit farther, we've got a couple more items, but you'll notice these are door preps. Now these will almost always be checked. So you want to check for these. If you went through and added door preps or frame preps, that's where this is coming from. These are preps that have an additional charge that you might want to put on a purchase order. Now, the thing is, we don't have enough intelligence built into this yet to distinguish between the tag numbers. So you'll want to take a look at this. You can see there's 3 of them for tags 4A, 5, and 13 on both of these items. If we look at the tags, the doors that are needed, they're not even those tag numbers. So what I would do is just manually uncheck those, because you don't want those going to the purchase order, because those are for something different. Again, maybe at a later date we can build enough intelligence in to do that for you automatically. But for now, this is the way it's going to work. The same thing with the frames down here. You can see we've got 12 frames needed, but there's only a total of 4. And if we come down here, there's again a header prep, and it looks like the same 3 quantities or tag numbers, which I don't think are even included in these tag numbers. No, they're not. So again, I should let's pull this back over. I should uncheck this because this does not pertain to the doors I'm ordering. And there's a couple more frames. 7, 21, 22, and 7A. Still not the same tag numbers, so we'll leave that unchecked. So once that's completed, now we're ready to create the purchase order. Now a couple more options. Again, you can order these, tell it the system that you want them ordered for stock, and if you check this box, then they'll show up in this column right here. If you leave it unchecked, and they'll show up in this column for this job on order. And you can also decide if you want the items to be shipped here or shipped direct to the job. So you want to select 1 or 2 of these, or 1 or the other of these checkboxes. And again, if you want to just select everything and just order everything for this project, whether it's in stock or not, then uncheck this and then check this box, and it'll go ahead and order everything by phase number. Again, keep that in mind. So we'll just leave it like this. We'll go ahead and click the send to PO. And when this is done, you'll get a message box that pops up. Okay, so I did pause that video just to save some time in this tutorial. Didn't want to make you have to sit and wait through that because it does take a minute or two. Alright, so when this pops up, it says when the PO opens, verify all information is correct. So we'll say OK, and it will open the purchase order for us. So you can see we have all the correct information here. Product information, just take a look at it, make sure everything looks good. Has all the right items that are needed and the quantities are correct. And again, if you need to add the tag numbers, you can do that here. Just manually add it in. So let's go back over here. If we scroll through our list, you can see it shows the purchase order number, and this is no longer highlighted because now we have this job on order. Again, these will probably stay highlighted because there's nothing on order, there's nothing on stock. This is not a stock item anyway, so these will always be 0. You can't order a closer header prep and put it in stock. So that's typically ordered with the door. And the same way with the frames down here. Okay, so there's our PO for the for Curry's. Now we'll just maybe take one of these under the hardware. Looks like there's an insufficient quantity for this LCN closer, and that's a different manufacturer. So let's go ahead and create one for LCN. They should all be sorted by manufacturer and then by phase. So we're showing 12 in stock, and if you want to use what you have in stock for this job, then we'll leave it like that. So let's go up here, we'll select LCN, and let's go ahead and uncheck this and then check it again. Again, no tag numbers. So you can see it did add the check mark here, 29 in quantity and 12 in stock. So now we can create a purchase order for this line item. And that's the only LCN. It looks like we have plenty of this other item in stock. Now, if you do not want to use your stock and you want these coming in for this particular job, then go ahead and check this box, and it'll add these also, and then leave this unchecked, order for stock, because that way it'll order both of these items and mark them both for this job on a purchase order. But let's just leave it unchecked now. Let's say we're going to use what we have in stock, and we'll go ahead and click send to PO. And we'll say OK to this. It's going to open the PO for us. And you see it only added what was needed and not the full quantity. So we had a total of 29 that's on this PO number. There were 12 in stock, and now there's 17 on order for this project. Now, if you want to order all these that are needed for this project, then when this PO opens, all you have to do is come in, double click the line, and change quantity. Change it to 29. So then you're going to have all of them coming in for this project. Okay, so I believe that, okay, one more thing. You have an option here. Let's say maybe you added more doors to this project and you want to create a new purchase order, which you can do. Now, if you add more doors, maybe you have more of these closers with new tag numbers or something. When you open this back up, they will show up on a separate line because these are already on a PO, but the new tag numbers that you ordered are not on a PO, so they'll show up as a separate line item. So then you could create a new PO for those additional items. Now, if you haven't sent your PO out yet and you want to create a whole new PO, what you can do is grab this PO number right here, 74824. I'll just copy that. We'll come up here and do Control V and paste that in. And now I can click Clear PO Number, and we'll only clear out that PO number. And then what I'll be able to do is you'll probably want to regroup them so they'll put them all together. And then I can create a new purchase order for the items that are needed. Now, if you're doing that and this PO here is no longer needed, then what you should do is come over here and delete that PO. Again, this is not if it's been sent out or anything. If it has been sent out, then you might want to just, you could maybe avoid it, but I wouldn't do that. Because the manufacturer or the vendor's already got your purchase order, and so you might as well leave things as is. But otherwise, if nothing's gone out, delete it and create a new PO. Okay, I believe that should pretty well cover everything now. I'll just give it a quick glance over, make sure I didn't leave anything out. So that's all for ordering a purchase order. Now, this is something you might want to do too before you go to ordering, because when you create a sales order, you want to make sure you have enough in stock or enough on order, because you will have the option to tell the on the inventory and staging on the sales order to ship from stock first or ship from PO first. So you'll have that option. So you want to make sure there aren't any insufficient quantities for this project. Okay, I think that should cover it. If you have any questions or concerns, just give us a call and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Thanks.